Hey there, welcome back to my channel. It's Stacy and I'm coming to you from southern Mississippi. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the shadow self. And we're going to go over how to make your own tarot deck. For those of you who subscribe to my channel, I have been doing this for about a year. And you may or may not know that I used to be very, very Christian, and I just wanted to just kind of tell y'all a little bit about myself, what brought me into this, why I do it. I'm an artist, and this takes away from my artistic time to paint and all of those types of things. Well, my art doesn't really sell that great around here, and so it's been a little discouraging, but I finally figured out that it's not just my art that doesn't sell around here. Not even Walmart has an art section anymore. And people just don't understand the investment in art. Much like a lot of people don't feel like investing in stocks. So whenever I realized that my art wasn't selling locally, I started turning to other forms of art. So I don't actually have my first tarot deck that I made anymore. I actually gave it to my best friend. And, I just did my own deck because honestly I didn't trust the vibes of the people who made the decks. The first thing I looked up was, where did tarot originate? And it was actually a card deck, such as your traditional cards, like playing cards, right? So here's a set of playing cards that actually has been in my family for a long time, and this is your traditional tarot cards. This is the original tarot. Okay, it's just a playing cards. That's all it is, and then they started to associate the king, the queen, and the ace to all these different signs, right? So let me just show you. This is how I have my cards on the side over here. So I have, whenever I started making my cards, I would keep my little paint containers that I would get from Walmart. This originally had paint in it. And I used it to organize my brushes, my paints, and things of that nature. But I just really didn't know what people's intentions were when they created their decks, and I didn't want that that whatever their intention was on my deck, right? So that's why I made my own deck. And I used to be a Jehovah's Witness whenever I was little, and I was Jehovah's Witness for about a decade. And so I'm very, very, I would just freak out if I got the Devil card, or if I got like the Two Towers card, or anything like that. And I would just totally freak, right? But after learning a little bit more about archetypes from Carl Jung, I realized that your so-called demons are more associated with your shadow self, and your shadow self is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, it's what takes all those little things that happen to you and puts it on the back burner in your mind. It's the traumas that you exposed to when you were young. It's the way that you're bullied when you were a kid, or any number of things. So I'm going to show you my first. This is my second deck that is of the original tarot, right? So I realized that people really don't give two craps about what deck you use. They don't care about any of the pictures on it. They don't care about They don't even care if it looks brand new or if it's all muffled around the edges and 200 years old. But I really wanted to know the symbolism, because that is what it's all about. It's all about the symbols. So I started out with, let me show you my first deck I ever tried to make. So this right here is symbols, a deck full of symbols. I started out wanting to know, what do these symbols mean, because I'm not even about to jump into this without knowing what it is that I'm looking into. So I pulled up, you know what's really great for this is actually Pinterest. You can go on Pinterest, and I'm just gonna pull my camera up a hair so that you can see my backdrop. Alright, so these are some of the things that you can print off of Pinterest. Alright, astrology cheat sheets, and that is the 12 universal laws of Hermeticism. So these are like philosophies. Alright, so whenever I was looking into how to make a tarot deck of my own, you know, I realized that a lot of these have angels on them, and a lot of them have information about certain zodiac signs, and I was just like, well, how in the world did they associate these cards with zodiac signs? So I looked into it, and I found that it was Aleister Crowley who went in and associated each one of these cards with the zodiacs. All right, and then if you go back into the Kabbalah, you know, you'll see that a lot of the angels that they use in tarot come from Kabbalah. And they're not necessarily fallen angels, but the devil's definitely a fallen angel. And does that mean that we shouldn't, you know, that we should be afraid if that card comes up? Basically what it means is that you've allowed yourself to become in bondage situation. You've allowed yourself to become, you know, to where you can't escape. All right, and then, you know, and I started, first I listed the planets. Look here, I'm going to scroll this over just a hair. So there's my Farmer's Almanac. If you're doing tarot and you don't own a Farmer's Almanac, shame on you. You better go get one today. All right, at least download an app. Okay, so you really can't see this because it's you know, it's handwritten in pencil. But you know, I took I made a chart of each one of the signs, and then I added the zodiacs, and then I added the planets that's associated with the zodiacs, and then I added you know, each thing that's associated with the elements. You know, like Mars is I am, Venus is I have, Mercury is I think, the moon represents I feel, the sun, which is Leo, represents I create, the Virgo is I examine. And here I am super examining this, right? So I get down to the bottom and I'm like, well, there's no planet X. And I'm so upset that there's no planet X, because I really love these types of, you know, just different theories about things. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I believe that there's a planet X. I'm certainly not going to live my life afraid that planet X is going to come. And then see how this one, okay, so these are not finished yet, but I want to show you. This one's pretty darn close. I just have to put the, so you see how this is Gemini, and it says mutable, I think, and it's Archangel Raphael. Like God is what that means. And then you've got the planet Mercury, and look, I doubled it up. All right, so this is just my first draft, right? Then on the back in the red, I put the Lovers card meaning, and then the upright meaning, and the reversed meaning at the bottom. So this one's needs a lot more work. But that's the basic idea behind associations. So how do you make these associations? Well, basically, you know, you just Google it, because each planet in astrology is associated with a sign, and each planet is also associated with a certain tarot card. All right, so when you're dealing with you know, that's why they're so, you know, true. That's why they ring true. That's why whenever I pull a card and it's, you know, like, okay, for example, the Hermit. You know, I'm a Virgo, so the Hermit card really, really, it reminds me of myself. You know, I get that. I really do want truly to understand wisdom, and I examine everything. And when I examined my religion, you know, I realized that it wasn't really cracking up to be what I thought it was going to be, okay? It didn't really add up to, it added up to a lot more hypocrisy than I had ever wanted to believe about, right? So each one of these colors on this card is associated with symbolism, all right? So the yellow is associated with Gemini, and you know what? You can just Google each one of these things. So whenever I printed out my cheat sheet, I got my markers, and I put there next to each sign the color associated with each zodiac sign, right? And so then when I'm coloring my cards, I double check it and see, well, is the original Rider-Waite correct? Well, this is Aquarius, and it says here that Aquarius is associated with blue, but this is mainly yellow card. But, you know, all these cards are just so different, you know, every one of them. And every single artist, whenever they make a new deck, they associate whatever they know with that sign, okay? So I don't know, you can't see these, most of them, but I put quite a bit of detail into them, really. And I'm just going in with my, I've been using gel pens, but sometimes they go through, so it's better to use pencil. And then this is just a learner's deck. This is just to teach you how to do it. Now, where did I get this idea of how to make these like this? Well, I bought a book called, what was it called? Something Wizardology, okay? And I found these cute little cards in there. Alright, I love this deck. It's straight out of how Merlin, the magician, would teach you tarot, okay? So I really liked how it has the upright here in the white, and then the bottom is in the black. This is your shadow self it's representing. Alright, so if you're upright, it's positive, and then usually is negative. But if the card is representing something negative, like instability, then the instability is going to be on the upright, because that's what the card represents, and the opposite is going to be evolution or change, right? So then you've got the heat, all right? So this is really weird too. Moisture, heat, cold, air. And if you look back into time and what these are all associated with, y'all, it's associated with bloodletting. Okay, this is how doctors used to think back before modern medicine. All right, they would say, "Oh, you're very moist, or you're very dry. Your skin's very dry," and then they would decide whether or not to let all your blood out. Okay, so these cards are based on, as far as I can tell, bloodletting. Well, when I got this book, I had already read about that a year in the past, prior to this. So I already knew exactly what it was talking about when it said dryness, moisture, and, you know, these different things right here. But anywho, it says that whenever you put down whatever it is your question is, you know, you go ahead and tell the querent, think of your question. Then you shuffle the cards. Excuse me. And you know what, if I'm seeing a lot of numbers that are the same in my everyday life, like every time I look at the clock it's 11:11 or 12:12 or whatever, maybe the keyboard key just keeps getting stuck on the same number, well then I'm gonna shuffle that amount of numbers. Well, it's like a sign from the, you know, from the gods or source, or, your subconscious, whatever it is. But really, it's probably you're getting hungry or something. But then, so the symbolisms are everywhere you look. If you look at the different, like the money, there's symbolism all in the money. All right. I'm kind of broke right now, so I don't actually have a dollar bill on me. Or I would show you some of the symbolism, but Jordan Maxwell goes through the symbolism really well. And a lot of these people that I've looked up and really learned a ton from in the past are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Santos Bonacci, he is ex-Jehovah's Witness. There's so many really great truthers out there. And most of the stuff I already knew before I ever did tarot. I didn't realize that it was associated with symbolism. I didn't know that many of these symbols, I don't ever use these cards because they're so much more raw, and I don't know what kind of spirits I'm going to bring forth if I use these in my readings. So I really don't use these. These are mainly like for me to learn. Okay? And when you use these to learn, and then you see these in your tarot that you buy, like say you buy a new tarot deck and it's got all these symbols in it. Alright, so this is one of the reasons I don't use this deck, because it's got this very offensive symbolism. But really, this is the solar cross, and it's based on the solar calendar, even though it looks like the Nazi symbol. Did you know that the ancient Atlanteans actually were the ones who first used this symbol, and it was not a bad symbol. Actually, there's quite a few ancient, not just Atlantis. I think because we don't really know if Atlantis is real or if it's just a story that Plato told to try to get forth a message to us about Nazism. So yeah, when you see this, when you see the solar cross, it has to do with the solar calendar, the summer, the winter, the fall, and spring. It has nothing to do with Nazism and or carrying a cross, carrying the burdens. This is spirit. We've got air signs. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones right here, okay? We've got this one. Don't forget to heal the healer. Homeopathy. Alright, so where did magic come from? A lot of people think that if I do tarot, then I must be doing the devil's work, right? And that is the common belief, that if you're a tarot reader, then you must be pulling from negative entities. But that's just not true, okay? So back in the day, the only thing they had was homeopathy, like apothecaries, and an apothecary is basically like all the different things that a witch has in her pantry, okay? So she mixes together a brew to make herself feel better, and that is somehow, turned into witchcraft at some point. But, I mean, if you really look back on what Jesus Christ did, he healed people, and that's magic, right? Some people think that, Jesus was an alien. No, Jesus was an angel. No, Jesus was nobody ever says Jesus was a witch. But look, that's what he did. He healed people from other means. Who gave him the power to heal people? God did. All right? And the Bible says that you're not supposed to have anything to do with witchcraft. And so a lot of people think that if you're doing these type of things, then you are, you're a witch, you're going to go to hell. But it just depends on who you're pulling from. Now me, I lived in New Mexico. I was raised in northern New Mexico. I was born in Taos, raised in Red River and Albuquerque. I moved to Oklahoma, Kansas, South Carolina. I moved all over. But basically, the Indians believe that, you know, you don't really ask God for things that you can do yourself, you know, because God is a busy person up in the sky, entity, and, you know, it's kind of self-centered to pull your all your attention away from God and ask him for something. So the Native Americans that I knew told me that, you know, you don't ask God for anything unless you really need it, unless it's like dire straits. It's and I'm not saying that I don't pray, because I do every day. I pray every night. Honestly, I don't really know who to pray to anymore. Like, I used to pray to Jehovah because I was a Jehovah's Witness. Now I pray to Yahweh. And the more I learn about the Bible, and the more I learn about religion, and the more that I study, you know, like this says skirt tails, be your own, okay? And the more you learn about symbolism, the more you realize that things aren't always what they seem, okay? This right here is witchcraft. This is the symbol of, like, this is a, straight out, I can't remember where I got these now, y'all. But it's definitely witchcraft, and I want to say it has something to do with Wicca. Alright, this is Wicca. Now, this is your internet symbol, but really this is karma. Alright? This is karma. This is a symbol of karma. We've got fire. Alright, so once I figured out all of these different signs and symbolisms, then I felt like I could start reading tarot. Obviously these are not finished, but I thought, you know, the law of threefold return. Now this right here means that if you put forth tenfold, then you're going to get back tenfold. But if you put back three, whatever you put forth in life, you're going to get that back however much you want in return. You have to put that much out in order to get that back, okay? If you're putting out negative energy, then that's what you're going to get back, all right? Feminine energy, psychic ability. I've seen this one in a lot of alien, what are those things called, baby? What are they? The alien circles on the field? Crop circles, right. Okay, thank you, honey. Crop circles. I have seen this in crop circles, and this says feminine energy, psychic ability. Are the aliens telling you that they have psychic abilities? I don't know. I really don't, y'all. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that I'm psychic or that I know something that other people don't know. Well, the thing about knowledge and intuition is, if you say that you know it all, you're never going to learn anything, right? So as long as you keep your, okay, here's one. This is like the symbol for twin flames. All right, and then we got the symbol of God. Now, doesn't that kind of ring strange to you? What God are you worshiping, right? The name of God kind of looks like somebody's walking down the road, got a little crooked, right? Money, this is a symbol too. I can't remember what it means. Of course it means money, probably, right? Maybe that's why I didn't write anything on it. Alright, so I think we've gone through most of these. We've got Earth. We've got Hekate's wheel, rebirth, transition between material and celestial. So this is the first thing I ever did, was I tried to familiarize myself with the symbolism. Because when you know the symbolism, that's the hardest part right there, okay? Alright, so I think we're getting to repeating stuff here. Alright, so I wanted to go ahead and just tell you, that's the first thing you got to do. You got to learn the symbolism. Alright, so you see the symbols, and then whenever you look at other people's cards, when you look at your money, when you look at the symbols on your bank, okay, that's going to tell you who owns the bank. You know, that's going to tell you who you're dealing with. When you see those symbols and they really ring true to something that you've seen before, you know, so the Illuminati is the royal, right? They're the rulers. Why do they rule the way that they do? Well, mainly they're just trying to keep peace and order. You know, I mean, I think the Illuminati they really started out as a very good cause, just to try to, you know, help each other. And I think they tried to, like, look at this right here. Take a really good close look at that. This is a king, and he's holding a chalice. That's the Ark of the Covenant. You see those little angels on it? See those little angels? Alright? And if you've ever seen some of these conspiracy theories, you'll see that these crowns have jewels in them. That's what they're called, crown jewels. And the jewels, they would literally screw these into the prince's head. There was little bitty jewels attached to it. And this is supposed to give them some type of power to speak to the gods. Alright, this is one I made for Planet X. Okay, these are the ones I don't use. Alright, they're not finished. But I like to put the planet and the zodiac sign associated with it, and a little bit of information about it, the angel associated with the card. Alright, so also I started realizing that a lot of these people that go to these readings, all they want is love readings, right? And so then I started to make a narcissist deck. And most of you who are on my channel know that that's what I do. I do the narcissist readings. So let's take a look at these narcissist cards. Now, these are all the narcissist cards I've ever made. So we've got the narcissistic lover. We've got, you know, probably somebody who's cheating. Maybe somebody who is using somebody else. We've got positive manipulation. Someone who helps you and then expects something out of it. The vulnerable narcissist. So what I like to do is on the back put, what do you do about it? What's the point in giving a reading if you're not actually going to help anybody overcome? Alright, so I heard someone recently say, it's not our job to give advice. Well, it's definitely not our job to give advice. We want to tell people how to live their lives. Nobody wants to hear that. No matter how many times you tell people what to do, they're not going to listen anyway. But, you know, if you find yourself in a situation that's repeating itself, this information can help you. It can help you change. And so, so I tried to add on the back of the cards something that will help them overcome. Although sometimes there's so much information about the narcissistic person that I don't ever get a chance to put that on the back. So I'm definitely going to have to turn this into a book, and I'm going to have to buy myself a manual. Alright, some of these I just don't really know what to think about it, so I didn't even finish it. Like this one, I don't even know what to say about that, because it just doesn't seem like very, there's not a lot of information about it. Alright, here's psychopathy. How to tell if someone may have, so if you're a psychopath, you're born a psychopath. If you're a sociopath, then you have to somehow have learned this from someone else. Alright, so then we've got the actual narcissists. So after I watched a couple videos of on YouTube about